This is Jeff, and I'm here at Our Story Studios again. And look who stopped to see me today.
Andy Knoll, First Farmers and Merchants Bank.
I think I know you, Andy.
I think I know you, Jeff.
That's right, exactly. How long have you been with the bank?
I just arrived just a few short years ago, only 27.
27.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Congratulations. You know, Andy, we just got done shooting an episode of Martin County on TV. Would you like to see that right now?
Love to, Jeff.
Let's take a look. Joining me today is...
Hi, Sarah Pierce with Pierce Accounting and Tax Services.
Sarah, so nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice
and
to be
thank
here.
you for joining us. And I know what you do, of course, but share with the folks what you do.
Sure. So it's Pierce Accounting and Tax Services. So we provide tax services, obviously, for individuals, businesses, farmers, really all ranges.
Okay.
We also do accounting services such as payroll, bookkeeping, monthly financial statements, and just helping getting information to third
awesome.
parties.
Yeah, very cool. So tell the folks how long your family has been in business.
Just 41 years, actually.
41 years.
I've owned it now for 4.
And in case there's anyone who don't know, tell a little bit about your dad.
Sure.
And,
So Steve Pierce, he is a native from Fairmont, and he started the business 41 years ago, and just because he had a passion for the accounting and tax world. So that's what he does. He bought the post office building, and we are still located there today.
Well, and for those of us who know, and those I'm sure watching know, what an incredible building.
Yeah.
And your dad truly had a passion, not just for that building, but for Fairmont and how to make it better and how to improve. He was an inspiration to us, and you should be very proud of that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's very proud of what you're doing with it today. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
We did find an episode. He was on a lot of different stuff. I mean, he was very active. So we found a great interview with him done by Bonnie. Do you know Bonnie Felstead?
I remember the name.
Okay.
But yeah.
Bonnie did a great, you'll have to meet her, you'd love her.
Absolutely.
Anyway, she did a great interview with your dad about the time they were just completing the post office and with the remodel and different things. It's a great interview. Should we take a second and show that to the folks?
I would love to.
Here we are with the new year of Hometown Focus, and I'm kind of right back where I started with one of my favorite people in Fairmont, Steve Pierce. Okay, first of all, County Commissioner.
I'm still a commissioner,
Still a commissioner,
Up for
okay.
election.
Up for election.
Yeah.
CPA,
Yes,
beautiful office.
thank you.
And when we were here last time, we just saw a bear. There were bear boards everywhere. People have asked me, when are you going back to see that post office? Well, here we are. I need to ask you a couple questions, first of all. When I first came in, you said, that's post office green. Is
Yes,
that right?
most of what I found throughout the building was originally painted green.
Okay.
And the lobby, if you come in, it's been repainted the original green.
Okay.
I'm not sure really where else in the building I may have it other than down in the basement. There's some of the original paint.
Okay, but
And
not bad.
and I uncovered the bulletin boards back there. So
Okay.
for some cork, so
Okay.
and the light fixtures being redone. It's all original.
Okay. Next thing I saw was, it looks to me like post office boxes on the floor. Is that correct? Is that...
Yeah, those were not left here. Those were brought here. The post
Okay.
office and I had a little disagreement about things. Apparently, they, for some reason, would not deliver my mail. I'm not exactly sure why yet, but we finally come to an agreement. They put those boxes by the door. They don't have to walk over here to my door. They can put it in those cartons there. So I am getting my mail.
Okay, well, we'll save a few steps,
Yes,
I
yes.
suppose. Okay. Beautiful appointments here. The finishing work is just gorgeous.
Yeah, we kind of got started and we weren't sure what we were going to do. I kind of wanted an original pine look, but when you start pricing out pine these days, oak is the same price, so I can figure this one out.
Sure
So
you can.
That's why
Okay.
you see everything is in oak, a lot
Sure.
of oak inside, and all the boxes and the window trim.
Okay,
So-
now, so you're in here,
Yes.
and when did you move in?
I'm not sure I'm here yet.
Okay.
Officially. I moved in here August 1st.
Okay,
Randy Queering with Principal Financial Group is in the East Suite in the
Oh.
back there.
okay.
He's been in here about that long. Of
Okay.
course, the North Suite is still not been constructed yet. We're
Oh, I
working
see.
on-
Okay.
Working on plans, have a tenant I've been working with, hope we can work things out, get it in there, just kind of coming up with
Okay.
design and If you're interested, don't stop calling me, but
No, okay.
nothing's been signed. That is not completed at all over there.
Okay. It seems like I heard at one time Chamber was coming in here. Is that?
Right, that was an initial thought, and we'd worked, I'm on the board, and we worked for quite some time, and
Okay.
actually, I was kind of convinced at one point in time they were coming in here, but were unable to make a decision on the matter, so I just moved on.
Sure, of course, of course. And it looks like you moved on well.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
gee, it's just, I just couldn't wait to get back in here.
Yeah.
The windows are great. As we saw before, the skylights here are just great. And you've added more throughout
Yes.
the building.
Yes, I'm not sure when the first time around, I think these steel studs were up for these walls here.
Yes, they were.
But not much else. Probably behind us, you can see the exit sign. There's the second story right there. The bathrooms are below it. That's where all the HVAC, the heating, cooling, phone, computer
Okay.
switching equipment is all up there.
Last time I was here, Steve, it was cold. We were cold in here, weren't we? Yes.
That could be it. There was no heat running.
No. And there's nothing colder than an empty building. It's
the
just,
winter time.
oh, yeah, really.
No, it's very comfortable in here now. I've been very pleased with their very high energy efficient furnace air conditioners, and they've been very economical to run, so I've been pleased about that. Hopefully it'll stay that way.
Well, of course, we all hope
Well,
that.
if you're paying on 3-4 meters, you kind of want it that way.
Yes, you do. Well, it's such a beautiful part of downtown Fairmont, and so glad that you kept it. And so glad that it's going, and I want it to go well for you, of course.
Yeah.
And now, if people want to take a look or whatever, are you thinking of a grand opening or
Well, the
something?
doors are open, and I have people down here constantly, between Randy and myself. We
Okay.
seem to be giving tours.
Okay.
It is open. I'm not ready for a public grand opening. There are some
Okay.
things that need to be finished from public accessibility standpoint. Also, there's a lot of decoration to be put up. And
Oh, sure.
Actually, I would like to have the tenant in the north side first. But people, the doors are open. You can feel free to walk in.
Okay.
Just this weekend now, behind us, you see I put up some of the stuff
Oh, I
in the
love
back,
that.
and-
Oh, what a
yeah.
wall. What a wall. Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
I have an awful lot more of that. It's
Oh.
one thing that, everything was gone from this building, everything. And but that's one thing that wasn't, was the original prints and a lot of that documentation.
Okay. And something else, that if people have memorabilia, you're open to
Oh, yes.
showing it? Or?
Around us here in the lobby, you probably see him on the camera. I happen to, Dwayne Danner was fortunate enough, got some things, items from him, but I don't
Oh.
have anything personally.
Okay.
There's several around us here, they're
Sure.
empty, they're locked up. So if anybody has some Fairmont memorabilia they'd like to share or to
Sure.
post for a while, I'd really appreciate that.
Okay, well, that's
Particularly to the
that's
downtown
great.
area.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, again, thank you. Love
I'm
to
glad
be
to
in
have
this.
you.
Oh, glad to be in this building. Well, we've known each other a good many years.
Long time.
Long
Longer than maybe we care to remember.
Well, yeah, well, me in particular. So, okay, it's
Alrighty.
Steve Pierce, Bonnie Felstead for Hometown Focus. See you next time.
Now that was awesome.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Very interesting, and what a project. That was a large project, as you very well know.
Yeah, it was fun watching him do it.
You know, and your dad was so involved in so many things. One of the things that he was involved with that I'm familiar with was music.
Yeah.
What was that called? The
Lip sync contest.
lip sync
Yeah,
contest.
yes, he did his
He did a
performance.
great job. And what did he do on that? I'm trying to remember.
Was it Minnie the Moocher?
Minnie the Moocher.
something- yeah.
Oh yes, and that was just great.
Yeah.
I think Shelley has some footage of that that she can show while we're visiting a little bit. But
absolutely.
he was very involved in a lot of things, and that was very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of involved, I happen to know, for a matter of fact, that you're very involved in
Yeah.
the community. Share with the folks a little bit about what you're involved with and some of your passions.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Dad really installed his passion for this community into me and all of us kids.
Sure.
And so currently I'm involved with the Fairmont Chamber of Commerce,
Of course.
Rotary International. I'm helping with the Adventure Playground, which will hopefully get built this year. And also with the Yacht Club, too. It's really, I grew up swimming there all the time, so it's really neat to
course.
be involved there. So,
Now, share
yeah.
with us just a little bit about, because I think we might have to talk about this some more in the future with the playground.
Yeah.
Just in a few sentences, kind of what that is and what the mission is.
Sure. So it's an all-inclusive playground that is meant to be accessible to anybody despite any type of cognitive or physical disabilities. And it's
Wonderful.
meant for so everybody can play together. It's not just targeted towards a certain group, it's for everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's going to have a zip line. So that's going to be really awesome.
Does that organization have a Facebook page or website?
We do, yep, Adventure Playground. Come
Okay.
explore with us.
So people can look it up and,
Yeah.
and check it out and
Yeah,
different things. And then
absolutely.
you said you're involved with the Rotary.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we all know what good work the Rotary
Yeah,
does.
it's been a great group of people.
And the chamber.
Yes.
The
Oh,
chamber.
Yeah, yep.
So yeah, we have
Yeah.
a great active chamber here,
Mm-hmm.
and the director's been on a couple times.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's
a
great.
guy.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
welcome him on board.
Yeah,
So,
it's been fun to be involved with because then you get to learn more about different businesses in town.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot going on here, so yeah.
Sarah, with the changing tax laws and such, if somebody has a lot of questions, kind of walk us through your process and what you do.
Yeah,
with
there
the
has
folks.
been a lot of changes, and most people are experiencing a completely different tax return. And I don't know when these changes are going to stop. So I actually encourage a lot of people to set up year-end appointments, either like November, December, even October, because a lot of times you know where you're at then, and we can just go over everything, see if there's anything we can change or do anything before the year end to help your tax situation.
So you're recommending, or I'm stating just what you said,
Yeah.
but recommending if you go in before the end of the year, you have time
Yes.
to do maybe some changes
Yep.
that would affect your
Yeah,
taxes.
whether
that
it be with
you-
retirement planning or
Yeah.
HSA accounts or, buy a new truck or something.
Now, have you seen a lot of changes even in the last few years? You
Yes.
think more so than like your dad in the previous 20, or has
Yeah.
it always been a gradual?
There's always been a gradual change. Like we're required to do 40 hours of education a year to keep up with it. This last year was more intense. It was the largest tax change since I think like 1987
Really?
or something like that. And I see it keep changing, especially with Minnesota as it tries to align with the federal tax law.
Okay.
And depending on who's our president, depends on how much that changes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Does state by state, is there a huge difference in the tax, how it's set up?
Yeah, actually there is. Minnesota is known as a high tax state, and
Sure.
we're working on bringing that down. Different states offer different credits so if we do returns for all different states, and so I just have to keep
Oh, you
looking
do?
it up. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I am licensed to practice in Iowa as well to do
Okay.
review level. But yeah, we have clients all over the states.
Do you
so.
see, and I'm asking the same question again,
Mm-hmm.
I realize, but do you see a lot of difference between Iowa and Minnesota in tax returns?
I do when it comes to depreciation and the credits.
Okay.
So, for instance, Minnesota offers a credit for student loan payments. Iowa doesn't.
Okay.
So that's one of the major.
So that's a lot to keep up with.
It is, yeah.
That's
It
a-
keeps me busy.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. I've actually gotten into doing. We have a lot of expats. People who lived in the States and they moved to teach overseas, but they still have to do a tax return. Well, you're overseas; it's hard to find somebody over there. So I've actually been starting to do a lot more of those.
I'm sure you have a lot of your regulars that come for years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you do like the simple tax returns for somebody that doesn't own a business or a young
Absolutely.
person
Yeah.
or something getting started?
Yep. Yeah, actually, I really enjoy working with more younger people are coming in, and it's great to start working them right away, even if it is a basic return, because we can help looking at the future
Absolutely.
and see what you can do now so that things are better.
Sure.
Because it's just something that wasn't talked about before. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
And lastly, on the retirement folks, same premise,
Same
I
thing,
suppose,
yep.
is how to phase into
Yep.
easier flow for retirement and such.
Yep. I like to start the conversation a good 5 years before retirement, so we can try to set up a 5-year plan to see how things are laying out for you.
Very cool.
So try to prevent any bad big surprises. So
Great.
yeah.
Sarah, so with your business, if a person has tax questions or estate or anything to do with basically taxes, just give you a call, drop you an email.
Absolutely. You could call the office. It's 507-238-4304.
Okay.
You can email me at sarah@pierceaccountingservices.com. Really long, but it flows.
Sure.
Yep. Or just stop in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And do you have a website?
We do. It's pierceaccountingservices.com.
Awesome. And Facebook.
And Facebook.
Of
yes.
course,
Yep.
got to have Facebook.
Yeah.
So be sure and like Sarah's Facebook page.
Yeah,
Very, very
absolutely.
cool.
Thank you.
Sarah, I want to thank you for stopping by today. It was great fun getting to know you better and honoring your father with some footage because he did some incredible
He did.
things for the community, and I know for a fact he'd be very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I have some special guests today. Today with me is...
Hi, I'm Teresa Haycraft.
Hi, I'm Paul Kluckner.
Glad to meet you both, and share with the folks who you're with.
Sure, we're here today representing Fairmont Ford. It's been in our family for 4 generations.
4 generations, very cool. Tell me, what year, when you say 4 generations, what year did it start?
The business started in 1909. I believe our great-grandfather came in about 27, so lots of years, 90 years of Kleckner's running through that thing.
Absolutely. And the two of you have been involved your whole life, or how does that work?
We both washed cars there when we were younger.
That's right.
And I moved away for about 10 years and then came back
Okay.
after working up north in electronics for 10 years.
Yep, and I was about the same. Went to college, moved away. I think I was gone for 15 years.
Awesome.
So I've been back for 5 years now.
Oh, very cool. Well, welcome back to both of you to Fairmont. Say, there was an interview done with your grandfather about the dealership, done in, I believe, 2002. Do you want to see that? Because I think he explains a little bit about how all this began.
Sure.
Let's
Love
take a
to
look.
see it.
One Fairmont auto dealership has a lot of history behind it, not only locally but on a national level. In today's history lesson, Len Tweeten brings us the story behind Park Motors.
This is Lenny Tweeden of the Martin County Historical Society's Pioneer Museum. Today's history lesson is going to be on automobiles. It's a pleasure to have Bob Kleckner with us today from Park Motor. I'm going to ask him a few questions about both Park Motor and the history of automobiles. Bob, my first car was a 1955 Ford, and I know you've been a Ford dealer for quite some time. But let's talk about Park Motor for just a little bit. What's some of the history about Park Motor that you can tell us?
Well, we started in 1909 in Sherburne, Minnesota by a man named John Grill. Moved to Fairmont in 1914 and then moved to the Park Street location in 1920. Fire in 1952 burned everything down, and they moved to the present location of spring of 1954.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so you've seen actually quite a few changes over the years. As far as the dealership is concerned, and you're working with an automobile dealership, what are some of the bigger challenges you've seen in working with the dealership over the years?
Well, there's challenges, and there's new challenges, of course, every day. But the advent of electronics, the advent of the capital needed for all the equipment to service these automobiles, the training that is needed for all the technicians and all the salespeople. It's a very challenging business, and it's a business that a lot of people don't understand. They see the glory of the car, and they don't realize what goes on behind the scenes.
Okay, sure. You talked a little bit about the history of Park Motor. I understand it's one of the older dealerships in the nation. Where does it rank there?
Well, we're listed as the 4th oldest Ford dealership in the United States, and they've allowed that because the first owners were involved, and then they took in new owners, and it was kind of a continuous process. And so Ford has allowed that to stand as a continuous franchise. And we do have a continuous franchise, not just on a yearly basis.
Okay, good. Over to my left here is a Model T Ford, and quite old, of course. Automobiles have changed quite a bit over the years. From your perspective, what do you see as probably the most significant or major changes that have taken place with the actual automobile over the years?
Well, when you consider the fact that, especially when we have weather like we have today with some snow on the ground, when you consider all the advances, cars operate under all sorts of weather conditions. Electronics has made a big difference. The engineering that goes in the cars is just fantastic today, and as a result, we've got cars that operate below zero and cars that operate at 100 degrees. And, the electronics is a big factor in that.
Okay, they've kind of got to be all over the place with automobiles anymore. What do you see for the future of cars? You know, we hear about all these new hybrids with part gasoline and part electric operations. What do you think, as far as that's concerned, what's going to happen in the future with automobiles?
Well, all the major manufacturers right now are involved with hybrids, and I think you'll see more of that. The problem is that you can't mandate gas mileage. You have to engineer it, and it takes a long time. The electric gas engines are going to be coming into play in the next few years, and I think there'll be other sources of energy in the future, but it'll take a little time.
Okay, sure. Over the years, you've been involved with automobiles, both as a dealer and were you a salesman too to begin with? Or,
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the highlights that you recall from your career? Some of the things you really enjoyed, or the things that really stick out in your mind?
That's a good question. I started in 1956. I worked in Minneapolis, and our parts manager had a second heart attack. Clarence Edlund was his name, so I came back, and it was hard to come back because my father is a German and a tough businessman, and it wasn't easy working for your father. But I went, years ago I worked on the lube rack and the paint department, and so I started in parts, got into sales, became a sales manager, and little by little worked into being general manager, and I was able to take control of the dealership after my father passed away.
Okay, good. Okay, well, it's very interesting hearing about Park Motor and about automobiles. What was your first car that you had?
Well, mine also was a 1955 Ford. Kind of unusual when you're going to school and all your friends know that your father's a car dealer. They think you can take a car off the lot at any time, so it didn't work that way. I never owned a car till after I was married. I worked for Archer Daniel Midland Company, Minneapolis, and that necessitated transportation. Other than that, I never had a car all through high school or college or whatever. But a lot of changes since 1955, sure, as you can well imagine.
Very definitely. If someone wanted to get into the automobile business today, what advice would you give them? Maybe, if they wanted to, and I don't know the details on this, but say to get a franchise, whether it be Ford, GM, or whatever.
Well, first of all, they have to have the experience. A lot of places, like these franchises today, if you ask who's the franchisee, you'd say, well, McDonald's or Burger King. Mainly, you're looking at a food franchise, whatever. Well, the auto industry is probably the first franchise there is, and you don't need the money as much as you need the experience. You can always find people that will back you, but you need a lot of experience.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate having you.
I'm glad to be here.
Best of luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
This is Lenny Tweeten for Hometown Focus.
Wow, wasn't that great?
That was awesome.
It was. Tell stories just like he does.
Still tell stories like that?
He was just in this morning.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So share with the folks, he told very well about the history of the dealership and how it all began and how it's evolved up to 2002. Can you share with us what's happened since then?
In 2003, we actually did a major remodel of the showroom parts area, and that brought it up to, I'll say, modern times from when it was built.
Sure.
We also did a name change to
really?
Fairmont Ford, so we were still known as Park Motor Company, but we changed our name to Fairmont Ford after the remodel.
Is that when you changed the whole look of the front and different things? That was an incredible change to the front of that building, I thought.
Yeah, move the entrance over,
Sure.
move the parts department forward. It was a big change, but much needed.
Sure.
Yeah, we did that just in time for the 100-year celebration. So then we had a big celebration. Ford actually sent down a pretty big representative of Chris Hurley, still a big player in Ford at the time, came down to celebrate with us.
And what year was that?
In 2009.
Wow.
Yes.
It's already been a few years.
It has.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, and since then, I just went back and looked at the books this morning just for fun. 30 years ago, for every one new car, we sold one new truck.
Sure.
Now we sell, for every one new car, we sell 10 new trucks.
No way. That's incredible.
So it's just the whole market is changing, and we have to change with it. 30 years ago, we still had handwritten documents. Now, of course, everything is on the computer. You never used to worry about the website or your internet or the SEO or SEM, and now that seems to be all the big buzzwords. You got to make sure you're...
And how many employees do you have?
We have 28 full-time employees and some part-time employees that also work for us.
Well, of those 28 full-time employees and 39 part-time, we have 500 plus years of experience, averaging about 15 years per person.
Wow.
So industry average is about 2.9 years, so we keep our people a long time. They're truly experts in their field.
Were there some people in that clip of your grandfather that are still there?
Almost all of them.
Really? That is impressive.
Yes.
Very cool.
Including Grandpa, still comes in. So the hair has changed a little. The cars have
The
changed
styles
a lot.
have changed some.
That's
the cars
right.
Have changed,
but they are still there and still working hard.
very
so.
cool. And what other changes have you two, since you've come on board, have you seen change? You talked about the computer and bringing all the technology in. Is there anything majorly that has changed with the cars themselves?
7-8 years ago when I started, the autonomous vehicles were just starting to get talked about.
Sure.
And now this year Ford came out with, it's called Copilot 360, and standard across the board they're putting in all the safety features on every new vehicle.
Really?
And so the entry model all the way up to the high-end stuff has the safety equipment to help you avoid an accident or avoid hitting someone.
So it's mandatory in all the vehicles now, is what you're saying, or is
Ford's
just
putting it in,
Ford?
just started this year, and next year it'll come across the full line of vehicles.
Awesome. Very cool.
In 5 years, you used to get a little screen in the front of your car that was this big. Now they're 8, and Ford's coming out with 10-inch screens.
Really?
Everything is just like your phone, where you would touch it to be able to control the different parts. So they are certainly changing their vehicles with the times.
Where do you see the dealership going in the future?
That's a great question. There's a lot of changes going on right now between the autonomous vehicles, the electric vehicles.
I think it's funny that back in my grandpa's clip they talked about hybrid vehicles as the first generation of hybrid vehicles came out, and Ford actually went away from hybrids the last couple of years, but now their next generation of hybrids come out, and they'll be able to go a lot faster than the first hybrids, a lot bigger battery packs, and you'll also be able to plug them in and charge them and run on pure electric versus just having to have a gas motor run all the time.
So your family had planned for you to be in this business and take over as the next generation?
Yeah, no.
No, never happened like that. Even growing up, they never encouraged or told us not to
Or
join the
discouraged,
business. It just kind of happened that way after we both moved away.
Yeah.
So they let you kind of discover your own life and establish yourself before you, correct me if I'm wrong, before you came back into the business.
Exactly.
That is really cool.
Yeah, no, I think it was pursue your passion and do what makes you happy, and as long as you're doing what makes you happy, you'll have a good life. And I know one of my big things of coming back was just the town of Fairmont. I mean, what a great
Absolutely.
town to raise a family in.
Sure.
It's got great hospitals, great school systems. I know growing up, you just felt so safe here,
Sure.
whereas you kind of want that same safety, security for your family.
And going out and seeing another way of life really points that out to those of us that are from towns like Fairmont.
Yes.
It is amazing.
It is.
You don't know what you have until you're gone.
Absolutely.
It's probably the best thing that ever happened to us. I mean, I
Yeah.
lived in 3 different states in the South and East, and I wouldn't have wanted to raise a kid in any of those 3. I'm so grateful to be back here and raising the kids in this small community. It's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Now, when somebody wants to learn more about your dealership, online, website, Facebook, and such?
Absolutely. You can find us at www.fairmontford.com. We're also on Facebook.
And they can like you on Facebook,
That's
follow
right.
the cars.
That's
and what's
right.
happening. Very, very
Yes, we try to keep that updated with everything new that's happening.
Cool. Very cool. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Congratulations on many years being in town with the dealership.
Thank
That's
you.
very cool. Now, Andy, wasn't that a great episode?
It really was, Jeff. It really
Absolutely,
was.
very informative. And you know, I want to thank you for stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure.
Absolutely. And as we share with the folks, the sponsors that made this show possible, remember, it's not just the past, but the present that tells our story.